Not much. Okay, we're going to talk about the history of herbs, definition of herbs, different types of herbs, herb gardening, and herbs in Georgia. Who here has an herb garden? Cool. Now, where to go? I need herbs. All right, the history of herbs. Ancient, back to ancient Chinese and ancient Egypt. Early settlers brought their herbs to America, sometimes on purpose, sometimes on accident. How did they bring them on accident? Well, the cows that they brought, and the cow food that they brought to feed the cows, and as it passed through the other end of the cow, dropped onto the new American soil, and then we have some accidents. But there were remedies for illnesses, there were flavorings and preservatives for food, things to store and dye fabrics, burning for fragrance or religious procedures, improve the taste of meat that went rancid, so it's a disguising the meat. What other uses can we think of for herbs? Medicinal uses, cosmetics, tea, so a food source.
Some of them have pretty blooms.
Beauty, crafts, craft work, aesthetics. What about dyes like ink? How about house paint? We color the paints. We'll see through this presentation lots of more things. Pioneer gardens almost always had an herb garden because they didn't have a pharmacy, so it was imperative to them. As people came, they brought their own seeds, their own cuttings, their own plants, their own cows. Plus, they found wild things. The pioneer herb garden, early gardening herbs mainly for seasoning food and for medicinal uses. Those two things are very, very important to the general run-of-the-mill pioneer housewife. Growing herbs are in style. What is it, herb or herb?
Herb.
What if you're both? Thank you. Martha Stewart says herb. Okay, people over on the other side of the ocean in England and so on, they say herb. People on this side say herb. I will say it both ways because just whatever rolls out first is the way I say it. They're both correct. Okay, what is an herb? Basically, a plant, a seed plant that does not produce a woody stolon or woody stem, lives long enough to produce flowers and seeds. So, okay, it's a herbaceous plant. There are plenty of things that are woody that we're classifying them as herbs too. Merriam-Webster says a plant or plant part valued for its medicinal, savory, or aromatic qualities, leaves out a whole bunch of important things. Ohio State, which maybe this is from Ohio, this slideshow, calls an herb any useful plant. Wow, there's a use for everything. We're going to take out things like timber or trees because their use would be for shipbuilding or house building or something. We're going to take those out. We're going to take out broccoli because some of us would argue that there's no use for broccoli or Brussels sprouts. We take out major food crops, and that leaves everything else. So your herb garden can pretty much have what you want in it. Most herb gardens have lamb's ear, right? But what? What good is that?
Well, the deer don't eat it.
All right. It's useless, the deer. Lamb's ear has a constituent in it that staunches blood flow. Now, if you chop your arm off with a chainsaw, don't reach for the lamb's ear. If you have a mosquito bite and you scratch it, a little bit of blood, lamb's ear. It's Indian Band-Aid. It's also the Native American Dr. Scholl's foot pads. And they're nice, soft, spongy texture with lime moccasins for the Native Americans. It also has some medicinal qualities, I think eye protection. A lot of things are included in our herb gardens because somebody at one time thought they were useful. They're really not, but We like them in our herb gardens anyway. So any essential plant, any useful plant, barring timber and vegetable crops. An herb versus a spice. Herb is usually the leaves, very mild of flavor, grows in temperate regions like here. Spice is more tropical, and it's usually the whole plant, like cinnamon or something like that. And artificial categories, forget about it. Use of herbs: culinary, aromatic, ornamental, medicinal, and that's just the start one. What about something like rue, which is the rue plant was used at baptismal fonts to hold the holy water and then splashed on the child. So religious services, shaman would use different herbs. So that's just part of it. Culinary herbs are the most useful to us, and generally the ones that we grow things for. Small quantities because of strong flavor. I did a big community garden in Roswell, and so that everyone did not have to plant parsley in their little space, there was a group space, a central community park that housed all the herbs, because you don't need a lot. You don't need to dedicate that much plant to it.
Where is that?
It's, you know where the big trees is? Who asked? No, it's right on Route 9 where the Fulton County Cooperative Extension is, and the Fulton County, Fulton County buildings,
Yeah.
tax office and stuff.
Yeah.
Behind that, there's a big community garden. Aromatic herbs grown to scent things, not as popular, but like it said on the other slide, a lot of these things cross categories. So here's some lavender. Can we cook with lavender? Sure. It has lots of good uses that are antiviral. You can clean with lavender, and it will help to eliminate viruses. You can soothe yourself and calm down with lavender scents. Now, a lot of people as extension and master gardeners are going to call up and they want to know, they have cancer, what herb can they use? It's kind of like using Lamzir for a chainsaw thing. You're not going to treat, we are not doctors. We don't even have any doctors to call at UGA, so we just don't do that. We grow herbs for fun and for cooking and things like that, but we don't talk about Chinese medicinal herbs or using herbs for anything.
So is lavender a little finicky to grow?
Is lavender finicky to grow? We're going to talk about lavender, but yes, it's one of the more finicky herbs. Oils can be used to reduce perfumes, toilet water, and other scents. What's toilet water?
Water down.
Watered down perfume, yeah.
It's watered down perfume, yeah. It's never very appetizing. Scented water with a high alcohol content used in bathing or as a skin freshener, refresher. Can be applied to skin after bathing. Lighter liquid than cologne. It's odorous toilets. Aromatic herbs used to scent linens. When dried, retain their aroma for long periods, like years and years and years and years and years and decades, and even 100 years. So they really don't run out. Examples: mint, marjoram, rosemary, basil. One that I really love is gallium. Gallium odorata is scented gallium, and it has a vanilla flavor when it's dried. When it's fresh, it doesn't smell like anything. When you dry the leaves, they smell like vanilla Christmas cookies, which is a real good reason for me to go gallium. G-A-L, I don't know if it's 2 L's or 1 L. G-A-L, maybe 2, I-U-M, odorata, which means smelly. Ornamental herbs, brightly covered with flowers and foliage. That is an herb garden. Isn't that pretty?
It's beautiful.
Not mine. But it has a combination of things because herbs don't have to be relegated to the herb garden and nothing else grown in there. They can be interplanted and interspersed with a lot of things. One of the things I was so happy to see down here in Georgia is that they use parsley everywhere as an ornamental. I love it.
Does it wilt time instead of grass?
Yeah. The medicinal herbs thought to have curative powers, thought being the operative word. Some of them do, but the reason they're classified as herbs is because somebody thought they did. At one time, there was a train of thought that if a plant looked like your brain, it was good for your brain. There's something called lungwort. The word wart, W-O-R-T, means aid. Lungwort is an aid for your lungs, so pulmonary function, because the leaf was lung-shaped. Nothing to do with it, doesn't do anything. But that's kind of the thought there. Use it carefully. When you read the old medicinal books, it'll say things like, great for ladies' problems. Guys, close your ears. What was one of the biggest ladies' problem of the day?
PMS.
What?
PMS.
That's not a problem. Not me.
Only to us men.
Yeah. One of the biggest problems was getting pregnant.
It's what?
Getting pregnant. Fixing ladies' problems. Get through pregnancy. So just because you might see that in their book and think, oh, this will help me with my PMS. Oh, yeah. Help you more than that. So we want to be very, very careful. You all be careful when you look at this stuff for yourselves, and we never, ever give this information out as master gardeners to the public. We have annuals, perennials, and biennials. I don't remember if that was in your original 33 questions, but boy, is that going to be in one of the 50 that you get Thursday. Okay, annual completes it all in one season, up, fast, and dies, which means it's got to do everything fast. So it's going to be really, really showy and really desperate to get attention out there on pollinators and everything else. It's going to have the eyeliner and the mini skirts and the high heels and all that stuff. We have perennials. Perennials have a couple years, generally 3 to 15, 20, depends on the plant. But that's got a much longer growth period. Doesn't need the shoes and the stockings and the eye makeup and stuff. So it can be a little bit mellower. Then we have the biennial. Germinates and goes vegetative or green the first year, dies back to the ground, comes up strong the second year, and blooms. That would be parsley in this case. Annuals. Here are some annuals. Anybody grow these?
Basil, yeah.
Basil. There's no such thing as too much basil, right?
Dill.
Days.
Coriander and cilantro are kind of difficult to grow here.
Yeah, I tried that one time, didn't work too well.
Yeah, that might be one. I don't like that myself, but it's very popular. And that might be something that you go and buy in the farmer's market and grow the other stuff. All right, there's our basil. If you ever find yourself with too much basil, please, I'll tell you where I live. Bring it to me. Okay, that's the coriander. And there's our dill. Perennial herbs, these are just some of the more common ones. Chives is called the plant most passed along over the backyard fence. Because once you have a chive, you have chive for the rest of your life, and so do all of your neighbors. You don't think so?
Rabbits.
Oh. That's funny. I have a pretty big rabbit problem. I don't have a problem with rabbits attacking my chives. They grow these nice, beautiful purple heads, which have a faint oniony scent to them. Beautiful little flower arrangements and bouquets, but I like to put them in soup or salads, crumble them up. on top of a potato soup or something white, it looks very, very Martha Stewart. Which leads my son to say, can you make dinner with that? All the sticks in my food tonight.
The flowers are edible.
What?
Flowers are edible.
Yeah, that's what I like. Mint is invasive. Yeah. The regular peppermint, the spearmint, the most invasive mint is not that invasive, but we tend to plant all of them in a container. Pot it if you want in a container, and then cut out the bottom. Just cut it out, or make sure there's plenty of big holes in there. Plant the whole thing in, so it won't get crazy. Now I planted chocolate mint out on the side of my yard in New York, knowing it was going to get crazy, and I didn't care. I needed a ground cover there, and every time my husband mowed it, I got a big kiss because he said I planted your peppermint patties just for him. I said, yeah, that's what I did. Thyme is sold as one of the steppable ground covers that you can walk on. Do not believe that. That means maybe once your 2-year-old can pounce across it, never again. But it's not for us to walk on because it just won't take that kind of abuse. Fennel, mints, thymes. Caraway and parsley are the two biennial herbs that we commonly grow. Now people will tell you the parsley comes back. It does, comes back a second year. And it will flower and taste terrible. Do not bother, if you're growing it to cook with, do not bother letting parsley come back a second year. Pull it out as an annual. You can eat the root, you can eat the whole plant. But if you want to let it come back for its flowering, and swallowtail caterpillars love it. If you want to grow it just for them, then let it come back.
And then it will just completely die, or those plants will die.
Those plants completely die if the caterpillars contribute to eating it up too. But they will have flowered and drop seed. Those seed are going to come up for the next year's vegetative growth. So people will tell you, not my parsley comes back every year. Okay.
So we have the first year that the plants are growing, and that's the best time to eat it. And the second year is bloom.
Blooms, caterpillar food, pollinated garden, fun. You have butterflies in your garden all the time. Let it set the second year, and you'll have more to eat the third year, because it will receive come up. But if you're just trying to carry it for year to year, I would do it. Herb garden decides which ones you like to grow. Here's the most popular question at the extension office. What should I grow in my vegetable garden or my herb garden? What you can't afford to buy in the supermarket? What, I think they should all grow Brussels sprouts because that's my favorite. Nobody listens to me. It's what you can't afford. How much does Chinese snow pea pods cost? $6 a pound. I've seen $7 a pound. That's where my money's going, because I can buy onions cheap. I don't need to plant them, but I need the stuff that's more expensive or hard to find. So same thing goes for the herb gardening. What scents do you like? My friend hates mint. Won't let his wife grow it. What would you use them for? Visit a nursery, see what's for sale, but more important, visit a local garden. Whether it be your friend's garden, our neighborhood garden, Gibbs garden or something like that, botanic gardens, all of herb gardens. See what's actually surviving here. It may not be the same as what they're trying to sell you at Pikes. Strong flavored herbs, rosemary, sage, accents, herbs for blending. Wow, that's a lot like alchemy. My husband says what I do borders on alchemy and witchcraft. I do a lot of herb work. Outdoor herb growing, combine them with vegetables, with perennials, with ornamentals. There's places for herbs everywhere. Plant near the kitchen for quick use. I have big pots of herbs on my deck and we use them all the time. My husband knows the way around, knows his way around the herb garden. He knows what's poisonous and what's not. And that's what he makes the steak rubs with. All right, how many types will you grow? It's going to depend on how big your garden should be. A kitchen garden, 4 by 20.
Yeah.
That's one heck of a kitchen. And dedicated to herbs, I don't think anybody needs that. 4 by 4 would be huge. Things that grow in combinations, you really don't have to worry about it too much. Put what you like. Types of herb gardens. Well, we have a formal garden like this that has lots of everything. This would be my favorite. All mixed in together. And you can do that as long as you don't mix 2 mints together or 2 kinds of lavender together. Those species kind of cross each other and you will lose the individual scents from each one. And it'll become like a generic mint or a generic lavender. But a lavender could grow next to a mint, that's not a problem.
Louise, is horseradish considered an herb?
Horseradish preserves and flavors our food, so yes, it's considered an herb if you want it to be. It's also a vegetable. Horseradish, you can buy a root in the supermarket or through a mail order and plant it in a corner of your yard that you're never ever going to touch again because